Recently, I posted a feature-length video exploring the history of nutmeg. Please check that out if you haven't already. In a nutshell though, the nutmeg that we use today was once only from a few small islands in Indonesia called the Banda Islands. The Bandanese people had a society that was built on trade. And tragically, in 1621, Dutch colonists, in an attempt to gain a monopoly on this spice, eradicated the Bandanese people and their society. This is a horrible history for anyone to learn about, but if you're interested in plant taxonomy like I am, you might be even more disturbed, because something doesn't add up. It's true that Bandanese nutmeg, which is Myristica fragrans, at the time was only available in the Banda Islands. But there are over 150 other species related to nutmeg, and those grow all throughout Asia and Oceania. And in the areas that they grow, many of these species are used in the same way that regular nutmeg is. So, what gives? If the Dutch had a monopoly on Bandanese nutmeg, why didn't traders just start trading other species of nutmeg instead? Are these species really so different? Well, in today's episode, I will be going on another nutmeg adventure, but this time it will be in order to find other species. And at the end of this video, I will take whatever I find and compare it side by side with regular nutmeg in order to find out just how different they really are.
Oh my god, I love India.
Greetings everybody. So recently I made a really long documentary style episode about nutmeg, but there's more to the story. Nutmeg is in Myristica fragrans, but there are over 150 other species. Today I am looking for Myristica Malabarica? I don't know how to pronounce it. So this one is not like super common here, but I've heard that it's used a little bit in cooking in some regions, and it is used a little bit in Ayurvedic medicine, and it's used a little bit in for prayer. So it's not like very common that you're gonna find it at like supermarkets, but it does exist in India, just in a different region, not where I am right now in New Delhi. But I have one place in mind where I think I might be able to find it. So we're gonna head there right now. I'm heading over to Kari Bauli. It is a hot day today. All the dogs are having a rest. This one here, he just can't do it anymore. Too hot. There's some more. Not a whole lot of cats around New Delhi, but a lot of sleeping dogs. And also cows. Too hot for the dogs. Cows are doing okay. It's good to be a cow in India. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm lost. Well, some sugar apples spotted and persimmons. Nothing new. Unfortunately, I haven't found a whole lot of stuff in New Delhi during my visits to India. You gotta go to other regions, like go to the south, go to the northeast if you want to find like rare stuff. In the big cities, you don't find quite so much. Okay, looks like I'm getting to the right place. You can tell from all the nut vendors. So I heard a tip that if you go up one of these stairways around here, you can get a nice view of the market. So let's see. That's pretty nice. Let's see if we can go up further. It feels like I shouldn't be up here, but I think every level actually has more shops on it. Hey, buddy. Excuse me. Show me where to go. All right, everybody. So right now I am in Kari Bauli. Kari Bauli is one of the oldest spice markets, and one of the biggest spice markets in the entire world. It is not the oldest. That is the Grand Bazaar in Istanbul, people say, which, just to show off the fact that I've been there, here's some B-roll of that. This area is called Kari Bauli because a long time ago there was a Bauli on this location. What is a Bauli? This is a Bauli. This is a different one. There are many different Baulis, or in English you call it a stepwell, throughout India. And there's several where I am right now in New Delhi. In a lot of areas of India, it gets very dry through a lot of the year, but also there is a monsoon season. So these things would collect rainwater, and then people would have a source of water, for, hopefully for the rest of the year, right? And they'd be using that water for cleaning, and they use that water for drinking. I think they were separate Baulis for each purpose. I got here just in time. He just about locked me in there. Yeah, so some years ago, I went to one called the Abaneri Stepwell. That one was like really wild. It's a famous one because it's like so big. It looks like something out of an MC Escher drawing. So I'll show you a clip of that. Okay, so there you go. That's a Bauli. Thanks for watching. Wait, now this is a video about nutmeg, isn't it? Okay, let's go back to the nutmeg. So yes, nutmeg. So the nutmeg that I'm looking for, let's go this way so you can actually see my face. The nutmeg species that I'm looking for, as I said, is Myristica Malabarica. In nutmeg, there is nutmeg, which is the seed, and then outside of that is the mace. Okay, so you get two spices in one with nutmeg. So Myristica Malabarica, both parts are used, but the more common part is the mace on the outside, or the aril on the outside, is called Rampatri. The inside, that is used, but it's not usually used as a spice. It is used more for prayer. So you can find it sometimes for sale, but it's even rarer than the aril on the outside. That is Ramgot, I think it's called. I might be wrong. I'm going to put it on the screen. I can pretty much guarantee that somewhere inside this market, I can find both of those spices. I can find the seed, I can find the aril. The problem is that this market is built like a labyrinth. I'm going to see if I can find it. If not, I'll see if I can order it online. That's probably the easier way to do it. But this is definitely the more fun way. Got mace. You have a Rampatri? Huh? Rampatri? No. Okay. Looking for Rampatri. Rampatri. It's kind of Rampatri. It's like mace but different. No? Rampatri, yeah.
It is a very low quality. That is name Rampatri.
Yeah.
Maize is our best quality of flowers.
Okay. So
Rampatri is not good. Not good for eat.
Right.
It's good for
For medicine.
For medicine.
Okay. Would I
is
be able to
good.
find that here?
Find it because it is our standard market.
Okay.
Low quality products not available for this market.
Okay. All right. I'll keep looking. Thanks. Got some apples, some oranges, some more apples, some pears. Yeah, not much fruit. Not much fruit. The spices they got. So the top 3 reactions that I've gotten from people asking for Rampatri. In third place, that is low quality. We do not have it. In second place, they pointed to Mace and assured me that that was Rampatri. And the number 1 reaction, laughter. I asked if where I can find some medicine, Ayurvedic stuff. He pointed this way. So let's keep looking. So I've located a religious shop. They have the Ramgot. It's Ramgot.
Okay. Can I get just like a little bit? Little handful?
50 rupees, one piece.
50 is for one?
One.
Oh. Okay, give me two. 2 pieces. Do you have Rampatri? 100 gram. Yeah.
2,000 rupees.
Oh. 2,000 rupees, huh? About 1,000 rupee.
1,000 to 50 grams.
50 grams?
1,050 grams. This 50 grams.
Oh. No, this is not Rampatri. I want the Rampatri. Not that's Mace.
25 grams.
That one, no. This I'll take. Yeah. Okay, there you go. This is for praying or medicine?
The medicine.
For medicine. Okay. What is this good for?
Skin.
For your skin. Okay, thank you very much. All right. I got one.
I'm happy to find that. All right, let's see. I'm going to give it another go to see if I can find the Rampatri. And I'm going to get out of here.
Do you have Rampatri? No.
No. Across?
This one.
Okay. Thank you. People know what it is.
Well, I give up. This street right here, I've been directed here after asking like a ton of different vendors, and this is a street that's just nothing but Ayurvedic places. So this would be a place to look. Unfortunately, because the sun's coming down, everything is shut. Everything closed early over here. However, in the market, I did find the seed of Myristica Malabarica, which is even harder to find. That means I'll be able to try both, because Rampatri is something you can get online on some specialty shops. So, gonna have to cheat in order to do it, in order to get that part, but I did find something, and more importantly, this was a lot of fun.
I did get the Rampatri, which is very interesting looking. The mace around the seed is like very, very dense, very close together. And I've seen photos of the fruit in the wild with the mace around it, and sometimes it covers the entire seed. It's kind of nifty looking. The other thing to point out is this seed. I don't know what was done to it, because it's completely black on the outside, and when you break it open, it is full of dust. It smells like dirt. So I'm not going to be eating that. I can guarantee right now it's not going to taste like it's supposed to. I think this was either like roasted, or it's like so old that it has mummified. I also did a little digging to see what the man was talking about when he said that this is good for your skin. So regular nutmeg, and presumably this as well, is used to treat pigmentation problems. You mix it with a different kind of like carrier, and then you apply it to your skin. That is supposed to help the difference in pigment from like acne. So it's used for a variety of different things, but that one came up pretty often. I try to avoid talking about medicinal things on this channel, and that is for a variety of reasons, besides the fact that, you know, I am a circus performer. You should not be taking medical advice from me. That's one reason, but also very often it's tied with something that's a matter of belief, and or something that's not proven. So I'd rather, you know, keep separation from that. But that is at least culturally an interesting thing about it. I will be trying the Rampatri at the end of this video, but for now let's head to New Caledonia for a Myristica species that's even more rare.
Samoan nutmeg. It's Myristica fatua, but they're not ripe yet.
Do these pop open when they're ripe?
Normally, yeah. So usually it's reddish inside. They're getting ripe. Yeah. It's not yet fully ripe, but almost. Pacific nutmeg. You get them in the Solomons, in Vanuatu, Samoa, New Caledonia. Those trees come from Vanuatu. The same use.
I see.
But it's not as strong perfume as a nutmeg, but
Wow.
very, very similar.
It is more almond shaped. You see that? It's very similar looking, and it functions the same way. People use it as a spice. It's different. I mean, it is less ripe than it should be, but I think even so, there is a flavor in there that's almost like vanilla. So it reminds me of regular nutmeg, milder in flavor, with the nutmeg fruit flavor that I've had in the past, which is kind of like, I don't know, like a bit like resiny sort of flavor. It does taste like the spice nutmeg. It's not like fully developed, so it's like a little bit soft. But there it is. Much milder than the fruit. It's not really astringent. Very herbal. Still a little bit of like a lemony taste to it. A little mentholy. Take a little bite of the seed too. Just don't do that. Nutmeg can cause some issues. You can get poisoned by nutmeg. Nutmeg is also something that people use to trip out. So if you eat a lot of nutmeg, you can have some problems. But I'm gonna kind of take a nibble and spit it out. Looks cool. Kind of juicy in there. Hasn't dried out fully. And the flavor is actually surprisingly mild. I'm not really getting much from the seed itself. Check this out. Just squeeze it out. It's so soft. Like it's got actually like a jelly kind of quality to it. You know, nutmeg is used to make oil sometimes, and when people do that, they will often use the underripe ones of regular nutmeg. And people use this kind of like tiger balm in a way. And now that I have it on my finger, I'm kind of feeling this little tingling sort of sensation. I would go easy on it because I'm getting a little bit of burn right now.
Smells cinnamony. You freed a lot of that skin. It does have that, a little bit of that nutmeggy flavor. Just kind of like a cinnamony flavor. Got that mace. I like the mace. It's like a milder nutmeg. It's not as strong as regular nutmeg. That's really interesting. Yeah, cool. It's a new species.
Now that a minute has passed, I'm getting a bit of like a burning sensation. Not in a terrible way, but a little bit. It's gonna get me in the throat a little bit of the tongue. If I get horribly sick, I'll let you know. Since this species of nutmeg was underripe, I will not be comparing this at the end of the video. But still, it was very interesting to try the fruit itself. I do have one more Myristica species to find though, and this one is a big one. As I mentioned, in 1621, Dutch colonists attacked and took control of the Banda Islands. Although many sources make it seem like the original Bandanese people were all killed, this isn't true. In actuality, hundreds of them escaped to other islands. One of the islands that they escaped to was Besar, an island that sits between the Banda Islands and West Papua. I went to Besar in order to find out more about this community, and one of the things that I wanted to find out was, do they still grow nutmeg? I asked a friend that I made in Wazna if she knew where I might be able to find nutmeg growing. She told me that her in-laws actually had a few trees in their backyard. Very generously, I was invited to their home to go check it out. I've been brought to an area where they are growing nutmeg, but it is done only on a small scale, just for people's own use or to sell at the markets locally.
So this one is the
Oh, you got
nutmeg
one.
trees. This one?
So I'm standing under a nutmeg tree.
Yeah.
Okay, no fruit on this one though.
Oh, this one is much.
Ah, here we go, yeah.
Yeah. He's collecting. This is the nutmeg. The seed of nutmeg.
Oh, you just made me very happy. This is not Bandanese nutmeg. This is from West Papua.
It's right, isn't it? It's West
yes.
Papua.
Yes,
So
yes.
when
So I was actually thinking of going all the way to West Papua just to find this, but I couldn't. I ran out of time. I didn't need to. It's here. It's here. And as you can see, the fruit on this is a lot bigger. This is like twice as big as regular nutmeg, and the seed inside of it is longer. When you find this for sale, it's often a little bit cheaper because people don't value it as much as the round Bandanese nutmeg. But for me, this is so rare that this is very, very valuable as far as rarity concerns. But flavor, I don't know. We'll find out. Long nutmeg also has a part in the history of the spice trade. Because before Bandanese nutmeg became desirable in Europe, it's believed that long nutmeg was actually more commonly traded. It was popular first. And although Bandanese nutmeg eventually became the international standard, long nutmeg was, and still is, used in place of regular nutmeg throughout Indonesia. While I was there, I saw it for sale sometimes just as regular nutmeg, and other times it was sold alongside regular nutmeg for a little bit cheaper. Excited as I was to find a new species of Myristica, I still wanted to find regular Bandanese nutmeg as well. And after making a few calls, we did find one Bandanese nutmeg tree that was growing on Besar, but I got the impression that this wasn't nearly as common as long nutmeg. I also asked my guide Tino if he knew of any nutmeg trees, and he said that he had one in his backyard as well.
And this is special for forbidden.
Forbidden.
Yeah, forbidden. This is, if we someone see someone else.
Yes.
took this.
So the bottle is just so people know that it's forbidden, that it's yours.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that something that's all throughout K or just in your village?
Yes, here, all here like that. In my area also like that.
And what do you do with the fruit?
Sometimes my wife sell.
So she'll sell it at the market.
Yeah, the market.
Okay. And do people here, do they eat the fruit also? Or they just eat the seed?
Yeah, just they don't eat the fruit here, but
Yeah.
I usually taste myself.
You taste it?
Yeah, I taste the flesh is okay. Put the sugar and also the water. Leave 2 nights or one night.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the process.
Oh, he makes, it's like making a pickle.
Yeah, yeah,
Is that something that your family sells, or no, you just do
No.
maybe yourself?
yeah. Just myself.
Do you mind if I take a couple?
It's okay.
It's not forbidden for me? I got permission.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. Tino, thank you. Thank you for showing me your hope.
Yeah, it's okay.
My big question, though, is there a great enough difference between these two where there was so much demand for this and not enough demand for this? You know, the Bandanese people who grew this had a very, very dark, horrible history, and a lot of people were killed. And that is all for a spice. But the whole time, this was right next door. Is it going to be really that much different? I don't know. But there are a lot of nutmeg species out there, and some of them don't have names that inspire confidence about their edibility. Like Myristica insipida. That doesn't sound good. So maybe there's a reason why this one was the only one that people were really fighting over. But let's find out. So I actually waited a couple of nights after picking this because I thought it might open up, because they often will open up off the tree. But this one didn't. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it might be a little bit under. Maybe not the best example, but I've eaten many, many, many of these, so I do know what they taste like when they are more developed as well. All right, got a little slice. It's a little bit, I guess, bitter, but the main thing about it that makes it intense is it's very piney. You bite into that, it's got like a piney flavor, it's got a little citrusy flavor to it, and it does have a little flavor of Coca-Cola. I think it'll be less harsh as it ripens, but the ripe ones are still pretty harsh. You want to put a little something on it to make it easier. Yeah, this one is further along. As you can see from the mace in there being red, I did rip it off though. Let's just pretend that didn't happen for the thumbnail, because it looks way cool. Look at that. It's so cool looking. And this one is very meaty. You know, it's got a very large seed to it. The seed is much bigger, but also quite a bit of flesh. One really interesting thing about the Papuan nutmeg is that when I found the tree of this, the motorcycle taxi that I took, he came with us to the tree. When he saw the tree, he immediately just like picked one and started eating it. He started eating it like an apple, and I have never seen that before. The typical nutmeg that we get from supermarkets, this fruit is, people can eat it. People do eat it, but it's very, very strong. Usually it is prepared. You know, people make a juice out of it, they make candy out of it, they make pickles out of it, and that reduces that harshness. It's definitely different. Less dry mouth, less pininess. It's almost like if you made like a pickle out of lemon rind. It's got a vinegary sourness to it, but also a citrusy sourness to it. It does have a little bit of the Coca-Cola sort of flavor, but less than the Bandanese one. The Papuan nutmeg is very similar in flavor to this. I think it has like pretty much like all the same characteristics, but it's in different amounts. It's pretty wild to try these side by side and see how those levels kind of like shift a bit as you eat it. Ooh, that's quite different looking. It's much more oblong. There's more of a more mace to this one. And next, Mr. Bumpy. Anyone ever watch Bump in the Night, claymation show from the 90s? Just me? I don't know. That is not especially good out of hand because it is very astringent. One bite, I'm just like cotton mouth.
Good morning.
Morning. I have taken this review to the beach because I am at a guest house right now. A bunch of little bungalows facing the beach. Here it is. By the way, it's beautiful here. Low tide. You could walk out for like half a mile probably. So people are waking up and they're starting to walk around like in their boxer shorts. And I was filming in front of them waking up in their boxer shorts. Anyway, let me try this again, but this time less confident bite. It is good in that small bite. It's not as citrusy. It's more vinegary in sourness. Similarly, it does not have like a ton of the Coca-Cola flavor, but like a little bit. But it also has a flavor that's a bit like, it's not like I eat this, but I've smelled a lot of it, like tea tree oil. It tastes like tea tree oil smells. Bandanese nutmeg, Myristica fragrans. That species is much more intense. If the fruit is intense, I'm guessing the seed is more intense, but we're gonna find that out next. I don't know if you can see that, but this sand is just crawling with crabs. There's crabs everywhere. I was thinking of walking out there. I don't know about that. I'm gonna get pinched. You see all these little holes? These are all little crab holes. So I just walked over here and a bunch of crabs just ran into their little homes. So maybe I don't have to worry so much. Hey, puppy. Well then, you've made it this far. Or you skipped ahead. Either way, in front of me I have 3 species of Myristica. I don't have just the seed of these Myristicas, but also the aril around the seed, which is the mace. I have regular nutmeg, which is Myristica fragrans. I have Papuan nutmeg, which is Myristica argentea. And I have Indian nutmeg, which is Myristica Malabarica. I'm not going to just bite into these things. I don't think that would be doing it any justice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grind these up and I'm going to sprinkle it on some cooked apples. So I took 6 apples, I peeled them, I chop them, I cook them in a little bit of melted butter, sugar, and salt. So after that got all mixed up, I put about a half cup of water in there and I let it stew until most of the water was evaporated, and now we have some apples that are fork tender. I'm going to take an equal amount of all of these spices and put it on separate servings of the apples. So this is the regular nutmeg mace, and it smells awesome. It's very, very fragrant. This one I actually got in Malaysia when I was there, so it's pretty fresh. That was maybe picked a year ago at this point. It is still very strong. When you buy ground spices, it goes bad a lot faster, but you know, when you take the actual blades and crush them up, it releases those oils that are in there. By the way, you may hear this horrible hissing noise. That is my radiator. It's cold outside, so hopefully that will turn off soon. But until then, sorry. I feel like nutmeg and mace already have a little bit of like an apple kind of flavor in there. So this really goes well with apple. And mace is, it's a little bit lighter and brighter than nutmeg. So if you've had nutmeg and you don't like it, you might like mace. It's a little bit more citrusy. Mace is used to make Coca-Cola. It's one of the key ingredients in Coca-Cola. And knowing that, it does taste like Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola, apples, a little citrusy. Mace is good. So this is the Papuan mace. This one I actually dried out myself on a windowsill. Why, yes, I am drying spices on my windowsill. So this is as fresh as can be. You can see there's some oil actually coming out of it. It's got a little bit of like a garlicky or oniony kind of smell to it. This has a bit of a carrot flavor to it. It's not as citrusy. It's still a little bit like Coca-Cola, but not as much. Here, I'll try a little bit on its own. Ooh, I mean, eat it on its own. It's powerful. You know, who would have thought? It is very spicy. It's actually spicy in the sense that it's giving me a little heat. The Papuan mace is stronger. I mean, it's fresher. I picked it myself, so that might be why. Oh, you know what this reminds me of? Turmeric. Quite a bit. Not like dried turmeric, but fresh turmeric. I'm specifically correcting myself to say turmeric instead of turmeric because I've been corrected recently. In my ginger episode, I said it wrong the whole time and people corrected me. Turmeric. I feel like the Papuan mace would work better in a savory dish. So next, the Rampatri. Wow, crumbles apart real easily. There's also a lot of mace in just one fruit. Look at that color. Wow, this is a cool one. I am not getting that much of a scent from it though. The Rampatri is not as strong. It is not as strong. I mean, this is the oldest of the three. I don't know how old this Rampatri is, so that might be part of it. And it's also in a savory direction. I've heard that this is often used in like mutton and meat dishes, so maybe that makes sense. It's got a little bit of like a tomatoey kind of flavor, like the flavor of lycopene. A little bit of a turmeric flavor also. Doesn't remind me of Coca-Cola. Doesn't remind me of citrus. Reminds me of tomatoes and carrots. It's kind of interesting having them in this order because I can see a connection between the Rampatri and the Papuan nutmeg, but less of a connection with the Rampatri and the regular nutmeg. I'm kind of like getting 3 levels of separation from regular nutmeg. But yeah, I think all 3 of them have their uses, but I wouldn't use Rampatri for something that called for regular nutmeg mace. The Papuan nutmeg mace, though, I think that one you could. It would be a little different, but you could. Okay, so let's move on to the nutmeg itself. So first, regular nutmeg. Nutmeg is good. It is popular for a reason. I think, as it compares to mace, it is maybe a little bit more piney, a little bit more mellow and earthy, nutty, less bright, less citrusy, but it is similar. You can replace either mace or nutmeg with the other and get a result that would be different. It would change things, but it would still work. And finally, the long nutmeg. This one, by the way, I did not dry out myself. Didn't have enough time, so this I actually bought. The Papuan nutmeg is quite similar to regular nutmeg. It is milder, but the flavor that's there is good. It's a little bit different, a little more delicate. You're getting all the flavors, but it's not harsh. I think if you were to use Papuan nutmeg to replace regular nutmeg, it would still work, but maybe you'd want to like double it, add a bit more. I don't want to eat like a ton of nutmeg because, it is an hallucinogenic, but I'm going to just take a little bit of the regular nutmeg on my finger. Wow. The regular nutmeg on its own, very bitter, very piney. Okay, next I'll try some of the Papuan nutmeg on its own. It's not as resiny, it's not as bitter. It's got a little bit of like an herbal edge to it. The Papuan nutmeg is very similar. It's very, very similar. I mean, having it straight out like that is very similar, but it doesn't hit you as hard. At the start of this video, I asked the question of why. Why did the Dutch colonists commit such a horrible atrocity over one plant species when there were other options? After trying these Myristica species side by side, I now see why Bandanese nutmeg is preferred. However, I found at least one other species that could have worked almost as well. And I'm sure out of those 150 species, there are others that also would have sufficed. So this experiment has really only made this question more confusing to me. However, I did find an answer. There is very little written about how other species of Myristica tie into the history of nutmeg. But I did find one article. In this article, which was written by Mark Hay, he interviews anthropologist Roy Ellen. And Roy Ellen's writings were one of the main sources that I had for my original nutmeg video. So when I saw that name, I started paying attention. While the Dutch slowly claimed rule over the islands where the Bandanese fled, they did not take control of all of them until the 1880s. This left the Bandanese free to help operate the trade in staple foods that even the Dutch plantations depended on, and to open profitable new trade in edible birds' nests, sea slugs, and shark fins, to name a few items. They even helped run non-Banda long nutmeg cultivation, trade, and smuggling in the region, despite Dutch efforts to root these operations out. So the answer to the question of why other species weren't traded instead is they were. It's just something that's not talked about very much. The Papuan nutmeg trees that I saw growing on Cape Besar are in fact evidence of a fascinating chapter in the history of nutmeg. The Dutch tried to have a monopoly on nutmeg, but in the end, they couldn't completely stop it. There was an underground market for other species of nutmeg in the world, and the original Bandanese people, they played a part in it. Even after everything that happened to them and their community, the surviving Bandanese people still fought back. I would like to give a very big shout out to Smarter Everyday, Joseph McCorkle, Bill T, and Marty Wiersba. They are mega patrons over on patreon.com. Right now, a really cool thing that's happening is, I just made this video about nutmeg. I've got like hours of extra footage, which I will be posting exclusively on YouTube memberships and on Patreon. So now is a great time to sign up if an hour and 45 minutes was not enough nutmeg for you. So check it out. Information is down in the description below.